Hello, good evening, everyone. Thanks for watching the brand new media show today. I would like to say Happy New Year's to everyone, and I hope you had a wonderful, great celebration New Year. May God bless us all for 2022. Today, I have with me Dr. HIRIMALINI SESHADRI. She's a physician and a rheumatologist specialist from India. She's been on the show many of times. And we decided to, hello, Dr. HIRIMALINI. Hi.
Hello there. Namaste to everyone.
We decided to do a show on MEND the mind. We need that in today's society because of the situation of what's going on. Dr. HIRIMALINI, explain to the audience what MEND the mind is.
Okay. A very late good evening to everyone from India. Okay. And today, as Brenda said, though I'm a physician and a rheumatologist, I'll be wearing a slightly different hat, that of a student, a humble learner of spirituality. Okay. And a novice on the path. I'm no master or guru talking to you, just a beginner. And in a way, it's good because I know Brenda, you and I are on the same boat, right?
Right.
We're all novices, and I'm sure many of our listeners too are beginners where spirituality is concerned. And the topic, as you said, is absolutely relevant. In fact, I call it the other pandemic. The
Mm.
pandemic, of course, is the COVID one. And this is the other pandemic caused by it. Because all over the world, there's so much more fear, dread, sadness, a sense of hopelessness. What psychiatrists would say, anxiety, depression, and it's going through the roof. In fact, recently I read that in the USA, since the pandemic began, depression has tripled. It's almost as if 1 in 3 Americans is going through a depression. Okay, and it's happening the world over. So, is there any way of coping with this pandemic of anxiety, worry, depression, and any way of emerging unscathed from it? There seems to be a way. But before I go into the topic, an important disclaimer. If there are any of you who've been to a doctor and you've been diagnosed to have clinical depression, and if you're being treated for it, you must continue with your treatment. Because as a doctor, I know how very important it is
I'm sorry, go back. You said they must do what?
They are being treated for depression by
Okay.
their doctor or psychiatrist. This is not instead of that. No. This is for the vast majority of us who've all been shaken by this pandemic. We're all wondering what's happening. We're not feeling as upbeat as we used to, maybe a little down, maybe feeling a little bit of the blues. And we're all searching for some answers. I mean, we're wondering, what's the point of life? I mean, this physical life seems to be like a bubble. We're also vulnerable. Is there any way out? So it is for the vast majority. But if you're on treatment, this is not an instead of treatment thing. You must continue with your treatment. Now,
Yeah.
having said
Yeah.
that, uh,
Yeah.
it
You're
is,
right.
yeah. So
Worldwide, anxiety, depression, even suicide rates have gone up. You're correctly.
right, right. It's worrying. Okay. So, it was just when the lockdown started in 2020, just after that, our spiritual master, seeing the fear on all of us, he took us under his wing and started teaching us the deep spiritual lessons of India, of the East. And, that really helps one become fearless, remain calm, and have equipoise and love, no matter what happens outside. But before I get on to that, I want to speak about a Westerner who stumbled on the same thing quite by accident, or rather by divine, dispensation some years ago. And he's right there in North America, in Canada to be exact. And the name is Eckhart Tolle. Many of you might have heard about him. He was born in Germany. And by the time he was around 11 or so, his parents separated. And then he was sent to Spain to live with his dad. And his dad said, okay, now I'm going to put you in school. And he said, I don't want to go to school. And his father said, fine, okay, then don't go to school. So he just stayed at home and read and learned whatever he wanted to. And at the age of 19, he went off to England. And there, I mean, he didn't have any basic education, right? But he was smart. He taught Spanish and German to the Englishmen, okay? And
Okay.
then worked his way up and finally reached Cambridge University. And in fact, he was doing his doctorate. But he was really very, very depressed. In fact, suicidally depressed. And he says one day he felt, I can't live with myself anymore. I cannot live with myself. Then suddenly it occurred to him, what is this I and myself? Is there two of me?
Yes.
Then one must be phony, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the eureka moment. And then he realized that one was I, the real him. The other was his mind. You see? And that was phony. Okay. And somehow maybe he was a very highly evolved soul, but that sort of that moment he was able to get past his mind, and he realized that just as he was, in that sense of being, he was fine. He says he was blissed out, all that depression vanished, and he was happy to just sit in a park bench and watch life go by, watch the world go by. His people thought he'd gone off his rocker, okay? But he came out of that depression and he was happy. And then he found that so many were going through that kind of a bad time, and he could help a lot of people. He became a counselor, and he wrote that famous book called The Power of Now. Oprah Winfrey has done a big
Yes,
show on
that's what I think I've heard of him on the Oprah Winfrey show.
it. Right. So what he says is, see, the mind by nature is always running around. It's like the wind flying up here and there. It's always either going into the future and thinking, oh my, what will happen? What will happen to me? What will happen to the children? What will happen in the future? Or it's going backward. Oh, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. That shouldn't have happened. You see? So it's
Mm-hmm.
either in the past or in the future. Now, where's the past? Now, Brenda, suppose I tell you, show me the past 30 years. It's just in your mind. It's just projection of the mind. It has no real existence. And so, same with the future. It's again only a projection of the mind. So then that's why Eckhart says, live in the now, the power of the now. Each time your mind goes to the past or to the future, pull it back to the now. And then start counting your blessings. I'm alive. I'm okay. I have enough to eat. I have a roof over my head. I have my family. I'm okay. I'm not paraplegic or with a cancer, or, I'm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And I have enough to get by the day.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's okay. I'm not in the middle of an earthquake or a flood or a tornado.
Right.
Okay. So then you realize that you're okay. But the
Mm-hmm.
mind might, if you follow the mind, then you'll go down a spiral. So this is what, Eckhart could pull himself out of his suicidal depression. Of course, it would be wonderful if we too could, just be like Eckhart and, bounce back like that. But then, we may possibly need a little more help than that. And that's where the wisdom of India comes to our aid. Okay.
Okay.
Now, yeah. Now in India, the ancients, they thought of these problems and they came out with what I would call little thought experiments. Okay, huh?
Little
Like
experiments.
in chemistry and all that, you have experiments in the lab, in biology, in all the material sciences. But these are like thought experiments. Okay.
Mhm.
So today I'll talk about two thought experiments, which will
Okay.
first tell us who we really are, that we are not the mind that's playing all its tricks on us. That's what Eckhart realized true. Okay. So what is this first thought experiment? This is something that anyone, anywhere in the world can do, can understand, can follow. Now, uh, Brenda, would you agree that all of us go through life in just three states? Either we are awake, like now, or we are asleep and dreaming, the dream state,
Mhm.
or
Agree.
we are in deep sleep, the dreamless, deep sleep state. Do you agree? We're all
Agree.
going through life in one of these three states, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So right now you're awake, I am awake. Okay.
Right.
Do you agree that you
I'm sorry you faded out.
okay. Uh, so you agree that you exist,
Yes.
right? You are there, right?
Hmm.
Likewise, I am here. Now, do you think you're just this body, just the body that you are? Do you think you're just that?
Yes.
I don't. I think, okay, the body is mine, but I'm certainly something more than just the body. Don't we, are we also
Okay.
not partly the mind, the personality, whatever?
Okay.
Hmm?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, here at this point, many of us get confused and we think that we are our mind because we think we are that personality. Okay. That's a common thing that we all get confused with.
Hmm.
That confusion can be sorted out if we now go and see what exactly the mind is. Okay. Now, according to ancient Indian philosophers and even
Hmm.
modern medicine, the mind has thoughts and emotions.
Hmm.
You agree?
Yes.
Thoughts are part of the mind, emotions, feelings, one part of the mind. Memory is another part of the mind. Memory, we
Hmm.
remember things, right?
Yes.
That's the second part of the mind. A third part of the mind is some intelligence, like we work out things, we reason things. Okay, mathematical problems are solved. So there is an amount of intelligence in the mind. That's a function of the mind. And then there is the fourth function that's called the ego.
The ego.
Now, what is this ego?
Hmm.
Yes, ego. Okay. Now, what is the ego? According to our ancient sages, ego is that part of the mind which tends to appropriate things. It's like a grabbing part of the mind. Okay. For instance, now I'm sitting on a chair, right?
Right.
Actually, the body is sitting on a chair. The correct thing would be that this body is sitting on a chair. But you know what the ego will say? I am sitting on the chair, right? It
Right.
usurps that function.
Okay.
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 Now suppose Brenda, you've just solved a very difficult mathematical problem. So your intelligence has solved it, right? But you
Right.
know what your ego will say? I solved the problem, right? It usurps that. Now suppose everybody in the house is searching for an important locker key, not able to find it. Suddenly
Hmm.
your memory remembers, it was in that cupboard in that thing. And then you say it's there, and they find it.
That happens all the
And
time.
yeah. But you know what your ego will say? I found it. Okay.
Okay.
So this ego is just that part of the brain which tries to appropriate everything and it tries to make you believe that you are it, but actually you're something much beyond it. And this is what Eckhart realized. He had that sudden breakthrough and he realized that he was not that mind. And he says, inside of me, there's a space and I'm so much more. Okay, I exist in so much more. Okay? So this is the waking state. Now, when you take the dream state, we'll understand it even better. Okay. Now, very often we have dreams like this. We can see the world, we see mountains, we see lakes in the dream, we see other people, we see us, and then we see that tiger or elephant or something chasing us, and we're all scared and running and panting and sweating, and you know, and then suddenly you wake up and then, thank God, it was only a dream or a nightmare, right? Huh?
Right.
So in the dream, though you were present, you realize that's not you. You are separate from that dream, right? You
Right.
exist separate. Same way in the waking state also, you exist separate from the mind. Okay? And now if we analyze the deep sleep state, it will become even clearer. Sometimes don't you feel, you really slept so well, you say, I was out for the count. I slept like a log, you know. And when you get up, you feel that there was a blankness because in that deep sleep, your mind is switched off. There's just no mind there. But when you wake up, you realize that there was a blankness, which means you're separate from the mind, right?
Right.
Did you get the point? Okay.
Hmm.
Because when you wake up after a nice sound deep sleep, you realize where was I? I mean, where was the mind was just not there. You're aware that there was a blankness for some period.
Are you there? We're having a bad connection. You faded out.
But you are very much mind. So then what are we? You need space. The body needs space and time because all the functions of the body are related to time. And the mind maybe doesn't need space. Okay, it's such a subtle thing. But still time because the mind thinks of things after this, before this, past, future, and so on. But existence is beyond time and space. So it's like we're there always everywhere.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice feeling. Right there. Okay. Now, right now, it's only an intellectual, academic discussion understanding. But what our sages say is that if we go in the same mind, which is now trained all the time outside, you're only looking or hearing or smelling or, feeling the sense of touch. We're only taking in the external world. But if we can turn in and meditate, we'll come to that in the next session.
The next series. Okay.
Then this existence will become reality. And then you realize that, you're much more than just the body and the mind. There's a drama going on outside, but you learn to put a little distance between the real you and your body mind. You learn to watch. You learn to watch your own body mind. Okay? And then you will not be so upset. So
So
this is what one teaching.
we're talking about mend the mind. I want, if someone just tuning in, we're talking about mend the mind on how to repair. How to repair. We're going to be doing a series on mend the mind if you're just tuning in with Dr. HIRIMALINI SESHADRI. Thank you. Okay, you can continue.
Okay, we continue. Right? So the first step is to understand who we are and what our mind is, and not to be confused thinking that we are our mind. We are much more than that. Now, the second thought experiment is again something that anyone anywhere in the world can do. Now, Brenda, behind you there's a painting, right?
Right.
Just behind you there's a beautiful painting, right?
Right.
Now, if you look at it, you see the
I'm sorry, you faded out. What was that again, please?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm sorry. You faded out. It's the connection. It's the connection.
Hello.
Say it again, please.
You're frozen,
Okay. Are you here?
Brenda.
Are you here?
Painting. How
Okay.
do you see it actually? Some light from the painting and some shapes go into the eye, and there's an image formed on the retina. And from there, some electrical impulses go. Okay,
Hmm.
it's not the image that goes, just some electrical impulses go down the nerves to the brain. Okay, now when you know the painting is not you, the painting is outside. And when the eye is seeing it, the eye is seeing it again, the painting is the object, the eye is the subject. But again, it's not the eye that sees because it has reached the brain. So as far as the brain is concerned, the eye and the painting are all objects, and the brain is trying to see it. But again, it's not the brain that sees, it's your mind that sees, right? In your mind, you see that painting. Okay? Because the brain has only creates some electrical impulses. How those electrical impulses become a beautiful thing that you see in the mind, doctors and
Very
scientists don't
interesting.
know yet. Okay?
Yes, very
So
interesting. So many people don't understand this.
So you see it in your mind. How does your mind see? Because of the awareness. Awareness shining on the mind helps it to see. You are that awareness. That's what the sages say. Okay? So,
Okay.
one, we are existence, and existence is everywhere and all the time. Okay?
Hmm.
That's our real nature, which means we're there all the time and we're everywhere. Body, mind, okay, we wear it. Look at it from that perspective. Put a little distance between the real you and the body, mind. And now we understand we are awareness. The awareness that we are shines on the mind, and then the mind is able to perceive the outside world, see the outside world, hear it, smell it, okay, feel the touch. Okay, but it all depends on the awareness that we are. Without the awareness, the mind can't function, the brain can't function, the eyes, the ears, the whatever. Awareness is so important. And awareness, to be aware of, it means knowing, right? So
Right.
all knowledge is there in this awareness. In fact, so now when we speak about it, we get some kind of intellectual understanding. Oh, there is something called, there is, I am awareness. I'm much beyond the mind. And it's because of me, the awareness, that the mind can function.
Is
Okay?
awareness
And in
natural?
awareness is all
Awareness is
knowledge.
just a natural thing. Is that
Yes,
right? Mhm.
yes. Aware, and awareness is there for, is awareness is unit. It's not that I have a separate awareness and you have a separate awareness. No. Awareness is all over. It's
Mhm.
part of nature.
Mhm.
Okay, and that is what we are. And in awareness there's intelligence. Okay, now if I ask you, Brenda, where is intelligence? Common answer would be in the brain, right? That's what
Right.
we think all intelligence is in the brain.
Mhm.
No, if you look at this lowly cell in our gut, okay, it knows how to convert bread and jam into blood. Okay, huh?
Okay.
Right, and the small cells in the kidneys, they know to create urine from blood, and that all those reactions and the chemistry our brains can't even fathom. So there's such supreme infinite intelligence in every little cell of the body, right?
Mhm.
A small a small zygote knows how to develop into a baby. It's something that our brains can't even fathom. So there's intelligence everywhere. Okay, if you look at the cosmos, look at the intelligence that's kept the planets and the moons and the suns and the galaxies, you know, all functioning, ticking away. Supreme intelligence out there, right? Because
Mhm.
intelligent activity is happening. Okay, we may not be able to see it. So in awareness, there's intelligence, there is knowledge, everything. You know. So what our sages say is, if the same mind that helps you look at the outside world, you can tap into that existence, into that awareness. Okay, and then you realize that you're much, much bigger than this body mind. Isn't that great? So the next steps would be, how do we go in? How do we go inwards? And then if we are such infinite existence and awareness, what are we doing with this body mind? Why are we here like this? What's the purpose?
Mhm.
Right? These are
Right.
natural questions that come, right? Why are we here? What are we doing out here? You see, I've made some notes so that I don't waste time, right? Okay, so that we'll see in the next in the next few sessions, right? Now, what is important is this all these feelings of sadness and worry and feeling depressed and angry. All this is related to the mind and mainly the ego. See, the ego, as you know, it's an appropriative thing. It likes to make you feel that you're separate. You're just body, mind, you're I, me, mine. I, me, mine is basically definition of the ego. And if you think you're separate, then it leads to I want this. So fear that somebody may take it away, greed, you know, desire, mm, okay, pride, vanity, okay, anger. So all this makes you feel more body and mind centered.
Mhm.
And then there are the other animal qualities that we have. We share this with animals. What are the qualities that we share with animals? One, hunger. At least animals eat only when they are hungry, but we pander to the tongue. I want more pizza. I want more ice cream. I want more chocolate. Okay, I need one more Coke. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So that again is first. It's the body of the ego. The ego, and next to that would be, say, lust. Even animals have a season, but for human beings, no. It's unbridled. We give into to our senses, unbridled. Okay. Then sleep. Sleep can also be like inertia, maybe laziness, not wanting to do, not things, not wanting to help. Okay. These are all buddies of ego. And then fear. Naturally, when it's I, me, mine, I'm scared somebody may take it all away. You see? Huh? So if we get stuck in the ego sense of identity, I am that little part of the mind, and we get stuck there, then we're definitely going to be prey to all depression, anxiety, worry, everything. But if we can just, as I said, first go through, contemplate these thought experiments. What the sages say is it's not enough if you just listen.
Mm-hmm.
You need to think about it, contemplate it, meditate on it, marinate in it
Mm-hmm.
until it makes sense to you. And then, there are techniques of meditation that they say, think about it, go inwards and go inwards, and then you will break through into the real existence and awareness that you are. And then you feel so infinitely free. The infinite freedom is what they call bliss. So if you read those, nowadays yoga and all that's very popular, they'll all talk of Satchit Ananda. You see, Sat means existence, Chit means awareness, and Ananda is extreme sense of freedom and joy. What my master used to say, being, awareness, and bliss. He used to say, being, awareness, bliss always is Baba, BABA.
BABA.
Okay? So this is what our master is trying to teach us. Yeah, being, awareness, and bliss means a sense of infinite freedom. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Then what are we doing in this body and mind out here? What's the purpose of all this? No? I think we might be running out of time. So we'll discuss that part of it in the next session. Okay. But those of you who find this interesting, I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you find it interesting, just go over these thought experiments again and again. See if they make sense to you. Okay. So I
Thank.
said listening, then thinking, contemplating, and then we'll go on to, okay, then if we are all this existence and awareness and infinite freedom, what are we doing in these little bodies and minds?
Thank you.
Why are we here at all? What's the purpose? Right?
Right.
So we'll go on to that maybe in the next session.
Thank
How are we
you.
doing for time?
Thank you. Thank you. It's great. I mean,
Okay.
you have anything else to tell us? I would like the audience to know that we're going to do some series on men, the mind. This pandemic has affected not only adults, but children also, with anxiety, stress. So this topic, we want you to share this video with your family, with your church members, with your aunties, uncles, friends, because we feel like this is a worldwide effect and it will help everyone. And I would like to thank Dr. HIRIMALINI SESHADRI with her very, very knowledgeable information that she's going to give us.
I'm
Anything
afraid
else?
to
Any
wait.
closing remarks?
I'm just a novice on the path. Okay.
Yes.
So we're all fellow pilgrims learning together. Okay. I'm no master or guru, just a novice on the path. I found it so interesting and helpful so that I must share it with more people. And mind you, along with adults, there were class children going to grade 4, grade 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They were also attending these classes which our spiritual master took. That's for all ages. Just sets you, gives you a different perspective
Mm-hmm.
to who we are. Okay? And it's for each of us to, think
Thank
and
you.
work out. And
Thank you. I
discussion
will.
was all, it's nothing religious about it. Okay.
Thank you very much. I want the audience to hit subscribe for this show. So whenever we get ready to do another show, there's going to be a series, very knowledgeable series. So whenever we get ready to do another one, you will get notice to get ready to watch the show. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. HIRIMALINI SESHADRI, for your information
Thank
today.
you.
And thank everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you. Good night.